So a few months ago, I watched this video from Andrew Till, Mr. EV, and I think he's over in the UK. The video was called My Perfect EV. And the concept was him going through and basically outlining all of the features that made up the perfect EV for him. I got to tell you, I was totally inspired. And over the course of the last, I'd say, month and a half, almost 2 months since I've seen that video, I've been thinking about and planning a very similar video that I plan to share with you guys today. I've even discussed this concept with my friend Adam from Adam's Everything EV. And we came up with the idea of each of us doing separate videos on the same topic, and then in essence discussing what makes for the perfect EV on our next EV OG podcast. I feel like I've got a good sense for what's out there, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you guys my sense of what that should look like. It also occurs to me that there's a lot of people out there that are shopping for their first EV. There are other people out there that are looking to add another EV to their fleet. And then there's a third category of folks that are also going to be upgrading from their first EV into their next EV. The good news is there are so many great EV options out there here in 2025. Whether you're looking for something new, something used, whether you're looking for a crossover, a 3-row SUV, a pickup truck, there are lots of different options in all of the different categories, including sedans. And we have until the end of September of this year in order to continue taking advantage of federal incentives that total $7,500 on new EVs. And a lot of people forget that there's also a $4,000 federal incentive that comes like the $7,500 right off the hood on used EVs that are less than a few years old and under 25K, right? So there are tons of incentives out there. And I can imagine that between now and the end of September, we'll probably see a lot of folks looking to go ahead and take advantage. Now, for my list, I've created 3 different categories, right? The first one is going to be the EV must-haves, right? The fundamentals that you want to be looking for in an electric vehicle. The second category that I'll talk about are software and tech, right? These vehicles are very much computers on wheels, right? So what are the things that you're going to want to be looking for in terms of software and tech? And then my third category are those creature comforts, right? The things that are nice to have that, frankly, in some cases, once you've had them in a vehicle, you don't want to go back to a vehicle that doesn't have them. So those are going to be the 3 types of features that I will be calling out here. So join me for this one. I'm Brian G, the EVOG, and welcome to my channel. For those of you that are new here, this is the cockpit of Valkyrie. This is our 2023 Rivian R1T quad motor. We picked this up in Normal, Illinois in May, the day before Mother's Day in May of 2023. It has just crossed the 40,000 mile mark, and it's still the best EV that we've ever owned. We've been fortunate enough to, within our household, now have owned 10 EVs across 6 different brands. We started out, of course, with Tesla. This was our first non-Tesla EV, this Rivian. So Tesla, Rivian, Fisker. We then went from Fisker to Volvo, and then from Volvo we went, our son got a Chevy Equinox EV. And then at the end of May of this year, I leased a Lucid Air Touring Edition. And so those are the 6 brands that we've had access to over the course of the last 12 and a half years or so. Today, we've got the Rivian, we've got the Lucid, we've got Tesla in the garage, and our son has the Equinox that I mentioned. So we've got access to 4 of those 6 different brands. Now, in addition to my own perspectives, about a month ago, I did put a poll out on the EVOG channel, and I was able to get some good feedback from my audience. And so I really want to extend a thank you and my appreciation to the folks who responded to that poll to give me some insights. Hopefully you'll see some of those captured here today as well. Okay, so with all that said, here are my top EV must-haves. Now, these aren't in any particular order, but the first one's got to be one-pedal driving with adjustable regen settings, including the ability to completely turn it off. Now, across the fleet that we've had access to, I still say the Volvo XC40 Recharge had by far the best and smoothest one-pedal driving calibration. That thing worked extremely smoothly. This Rivian has really strong regen, but it also has 3 different settings that you can modulate in terms of your one pedal and how strong or not strong the regen is. The Chevy, our son's Equinox, also has a really nicely dialed in one pedal driving setup. And our Lucid is the same way, right? It's got really nice regen calibration, and you've got the ability to turn it off. There's 3 different settings in that vehicle. Now, there are some other vehicles that really don't have this. And one of those is the Nissan Ariya. That was one of the vehicles that my son and I test drove when he was looking for an EV at the end of last year, 2024. And that was an issue for me. You know, driving EVs for as long as I have, that's something, the one pedal driving is something you just get used to. And once you get used to it, you don't necessarily want to go back to not having it. The Porsche Taycan is similarly the same way. And Porsche's thought on that is you want to have friction brakes so that you can really modulate the behavior of the vehicle. So those are some OEM examples, but I think that's the first thing that I would call out is one pedal driving. Number 2 on my list is route planning with integrated DC fast charging provider options, so that you've got guidance on where to charge, how long to charge, and ideally, you know, I'd love to see them have adjustable state of charge on arrival. And so you want to have quality route planning that integrates the opportunity to identify charging locations, tell you how long you need to charge, and as I said, ideally you want to be able to set the state of charge upon arrival. Now, there are, to my knowledge, a couple of EVs out there. I believe the new Jeep has some limitations around this, as does the Dodge Charger. Both of those are Stellantis brand EVs. So I don't know how you can be serious about delivering EVs unless you've got this type of integrated route planning with DC fast charging. So that's number 2. Number 3 is related to number 2, right? And number 3 for me is at least 150 kilowatt plus DC fast charging capability with access to both our CCS as well as Tesla supercharging DC fast charging networks. I think at this point in 2025, most EV providers have access to the Tesla supercharging network. But again, for the same reason as I stated with route planning, I think it's really important for EVs to have and give the owners flexibility to use both CCS as well as the Tesla supercharging networks. Number 4 is a heat pump, right? A heat pump adds a tremendous amount of efficiency that's going to minimize the impact to your range in colder months, right? For those of us that live in places where it gets cold, right, you want to have a heat pump. This vehicle does not. So it's not something that you can not live without. But if you're going to be getting into an EV in 2025, I think that's a feature that you're going to want to have within your EV so that it's much more efficient in the inevitable winter months. Number 5 is preconditioning, right? So this comes in 2 flavors. We want battery preconditioning so that when we're routing to a DC fast charger on a road trip, or we're going to charge, we want the vehicle to be able to precondition the battery, either heat it up or cool it down, but we want the vehicle to precondition the battery for optimal DC fast charging. That is super important, right? To reduce the amount of time that you have to spend at a charging station. Related to that, it should also have the ability for you to precondition the cabin, right? So whether it's on a cold winter morning or a really hot summer day, right? And this ties into the mobile app experience, right? So all of this is a part of number 5, where the battery will precondition for DC fast charging. We will also have preconditioning for the cabin via a mobile app. And from that mobile app, you're also going to want the ability to, obviously control some of the elements of the vehicle. And you're also going to want to control elements of charging. Number 6 is bidirectional charging. These vehicles have huge batteries, right? Even the smallest EV battery is bigger than, most folks' battery storage setups at home, if you've got that type of thing, as we do. So I really think that EVs in 2025 really should allow you to tap into that battery. So practically speaking, I think that your next EV in 2025 and beyond should have a port, a household outlet port that allows you to plug in to 110, 120 volts, right? With a NEMA 515 is what you call the household outlet. So that if the power goes out at home, you can at least run, 1 or more extension cords and leverage your vehicle to run the refrigerator or to run a few lights at home, right? Minimally. Now, obviously, some vehicles give you the ability to do a lot more than that. This vehicle has one of those outlets in the back of my armrest, as well as 2 additional ones in the bed. So bidirectional charging is number 6 on my list. Number 7 is one that I know is near and dear to Mrs. EVOG, and that's phone is key, right? This is one of those features where once you get used to using your phone as a key, as is the case here in this Rivian, you don't want to go back to having to deal with any sort of key fob. The nice thing is you get a backup key card, and I keep that in my wallet for emergencies if I need it. But being able to use my phone as a key, right? There's proximity so that as I walk up to the vehicle, it recognizes my phone and unlocks the vehicle. But again, this is definitely one of those things that once you've gotten used to it, you definitely are going to want to stick with it. Number 8 is regular, and by regular I mean at least quarterly, right? Over-the-air software updates. One of the best things that I tell people about driving EVs today is that sort of computer on wheel feel with these vehicles, and it really comes to life when you think about how much better the vehicle gets via these over-the-air software updates over the course of your ownership. We've had this vehicle now for 2.5 years, 40,000 miles, as I've mentioned, and there are so many things about the ownership, the driving, the infotainment, even the charge curve that have drastically improved via over-the-air software updates, right? Rivian, I've said multiple times, is probably 1A to Tesla's 1 in terms of OEMs with really strong software prowess. The last thing I'll say about number 8, software over-the-air updates, is the added convenience of being able to get that over the air. Perhaps while you're sleeping, you wake up to a vehicle that's gotten better, or you wake up to a vehicle that has had a recall addressed via an over-the-air software update, versus having to take it back to the dealer, spend time getting there, waiting for it, or dropping it off, getting a ride, getting into another vehicle. Just the convenience of not having to do a dealership visit is another great benefit that I think folks should look for in 2025 with their EVs. Number 9 is pet and camping or keep modes, where you've got the ability to set the temperature within the vehicle, and you can leave your pets in here and turn on pet mode that not only maintains the temperature, but it uses these large screens to let the public know that the pet is safe, the temperature is set to a comfortable temperature, right? And camp mode is very similar, right? Many of us spend time camping in our vehicles, or long times at night, whether it's at a drive-in movie or something like that. We happen to have one here on the Outer Cape. The ability to keep your cabin set to a temperature and not have to worry about it, and also to be able to control that from your mobile device. That's number 9 on the list. Finally, number 10 for me is a usable front trunk or frunk. All right, one of the great benefits with an EV architecture is you don't have a giant engine sitting in the front of your vehicle, right? So I think having access to a front trunk is important because it demonstrates the quality, I think, of engineering, of design, and really vehicle packaging that went into that EV, if they're able to give you a usable frunk. Right now, bonus if it's a power operated open and close frunk, as is the case here in our Rivian and also in the Lucid. But at a minimum, even if it's manually operated, you want to have that space because it adds additional storage, additional utility, and usability for the EV. So what do you guys think? Is that a good top 10 for the EV must-haves? Comment below. Let me know if I've missed anything. Let me know if you disagree about anything that's in that list. And certainly I would love to hear about any additions that I may have missed. But before you go there, let me give you the top 5 software and tech items, as well as the creature comforts. All right, so we're talking now about software and tech. And the first one is adaptive cruise control with lane centering or auto steering, where the vehicle will maintain a follow distance. Once you've set your cruising speed, it'll maintain the distance with moving traffic. right? It'll slow down all the way to a stop and then re-engage as traffic starts to move. And it will lane center, right? Steer within the lane, steer around curves, and so on. That's a feature that, unfortunately, my 2025 Lucid Air Touring doesn't have. And Lucid is an odd manufacturer in that I can't just add that via software update, because they have additional hardware components that enable their capabilities of auto steering and lane changing and all of that. I'm hopeful that, you know, the basics of lane centering and some degree of auto steering can be added via over-the-air software, but as of now, it's not a feature that that vehicle has. And frankly, for this long road trip out to the Cape, it's something that concerns me a little bit, but I'm hopeful that they can add that via an over-the-air software update. I also see that very much as a safety feature at this point, and I think vehicles in 2025 and beyond really should have that lane centering capability added to adaptive cruise. Number 2, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I was late to the boat on Apple CarPlay, and it wasn't until we got the Lucid Air at the end of May of this year when it really clicked for me, because that vehicle happens to have Apple CarPlay. Prior to that, you know, I've been driving Tesla, Rivian, Fisker, Volvo. Volvo actually had CarPlay, but it wasn't wireless, it was wired, and so not super useful. I did not use it. I'd been in rental cars that had it, didn't really pay much attention to it, but man, I got used to it so quickly in the Lucid Air, in terms of once I set it up initially, every time I got in the vehicle, it just automatically connected, and I had access to both Siri as well as pretty much everything on my phone, right? So I don't know if it's just the licensing fees or what it is, but I would love to see more EV options out there with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Number 3 on my list of software and tech has to do with the camera suite in your EV, right? A lot of these cars today have a 360 suite of cameras, right? We've got cameras behind the rear view mirror. We've got cameras on the side view mirrors. We've got cameras at the very front of the vehicle, in addition to cameras on B-pillars and cameras behind our EVs. And so I would love to see my EVs use those cameras for a number of different things, right? Number 1, put them to use beyond the ADAS stuff for and for autonomy, to do things like provide security, right? This vehicle, like Tesla, has the ability to use those cameras to monitor the vehicle when you're away from it, right? It can record incidents on the road. You know, if you get into an accident or you have a road rage issue, right? You can record that and have access to the footage. The other thing I really like them using this camera stack for is for turn signal cameras, right? This vehicle, when I put on my left or right turn signal, I get a repeater camera image that shows up on the driver display, either left or right, depending on how I'm using my turn signal. So I think that's a great feature to leverage the 360 camera setup. Obviously, the other thing you want these cameras for is to help you with parking, right? So you want to have that camera in the front in addition to the one in the back. I like the curb view that allows to see where my wheels are. So there's never an excuse for, getting curb rash on your wheels unless you're just not paying attention. Number 4 on software and tech is voice commands and a digital assistant. All right, in this vehicle, we've got that A person. I don't want to say the name to wake her up, but in our Lucid, it's, hey Lucid. Tesla is starting to integrate Grok, right? So, but even prior to that, one of the things I really appreciated about Tesla was the ability to, in essence, do just about everything that you can do within the touchscreen or mobile app. Pretty much, you could do it via spoken command. You just hit that right button and just use natural language in order to turn on your heated seat or open the sunroof. Any number of things you could just leverage voice commands or a digital assistant for. The 5th and final element of my software and tech list is a Wi-Fi hotspot. And I didn't realize how much of a game changer that could be until we got this Rivian back in May of 2023. Within this vehicle, we're able to connect up to 8 devices to the Wi-Fi hotspot in the vehicle. So oftentimes as we're doing long road trips, right, my wife is in the vehicle with me, and she's able to not only use the household outlet to power her laptop, she can also leverage the Wi-Fi connection in the vehicle to stay connected and do all sorts of work, right? And having that just be integrated into the vehicle just adds a level of comfort and convenience and usability that I think we should definitely be looking for in EVs moving forward. So that's my 5. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments around software and tech and what I may have missed in that list. But again, before you do that, let me get to the last part of my list, which is a top 5 of creature comforts that are nice to have, especially once you've had them in any vehicle prior. All right, so the first one is the package, the winter package that are in many vehicles. The Lucid takes it to a whole other level, the way we configured that vehicle, because in addition to a heated steering wheel, it has heated, ventilated, and massaging front seats, both for the driver and front passenger. And I gotta tell you that massaging seats in the vehicle is not something that I had really experienced much prior to owning or leasing the Lucid, but man, is it a feature that I absolutely love and will not go get another vehicle that doesn't have it, especially for a long journey. Again, like, it all goes back to use case, right? And one of our huge and primary use cases is a 1,000-mile round trip that we do many times a year. And so having access to both heated, ventilated, and they're not just ventilated, they're cooling. I've got the cooling seats, ventilated cooling seats going right now here in the Rivian, and it just makes for such a comfortable experience. Add massage to that mix, right? Either with cooling or heating, and it's a game changer, trust me. Number 2, and this is a deal breaker for me, it's a glass and ideally opening sunroof. I want the ability to have the light and airiness of a glass roof. My ideal setup is one that I'm able to open, but we're seeing that become rarer and rarer in vehicles these days. I know Tesla looked at it and said, look, this is another moving part that will require maintenance. Let's just go to an all glass roof. It also simplifies manufacturing to some extent. but I would love to be able to have one that opens, but at a minimum, I need a glass roof. I'm also pretty tall, right? 6'6", and so my head is always going to be close to the roof of the vehicle. And oftentimes with a glass roof, it actually adds additional headroom, in addition to making the cabin a lot brighter and airier and more inviting and comfortable. Number 3 on my list of creature comforts and convenience here is video streaming, right? Tesla took this to a whole other level years ago with all of the different options that you can stream within your Tesla vehicles. And Rivian was late to the game, but they brought an automotive first with the ability to leverage Google Cast, right? So anything on your iPad, your phone, whatever mobile device, laptop, you can actually connect to the phone's Wi-Fi hotspot. This is another benefit of having the Wi-Fi hotspot. You can connect to it and then use Google Cast to cast whatever you're watching. And we also have native YouTube within the vehicle. So whether you're charging, or you're waiting for a ferry to come in, as is the case here, as I'm sitting on the pier, you can entertain yourself on the large screen within the vehicle. Number 4 is drive modes, right? At a minimum, you want to have an efficiency drive mode as well as a performance drive mode. We all know that EVs have a ton of power and torque, but the ability to customize how the vehicle behaves is something that I really appreciate. And the thing I like most about this Rivian are all of the different drive modes. This takes it to a whole other level, right? There's 4 different drive modes with all-purpose, snow mode, there's conserve mode, right? The efficiency mode there, and then there's sport, right? So depending on your mood, depending on your use case, right? When we're doing that trip from Maryland to Massachusetts or vice versa, once I get on the highway, I'm in conserve mode because all I'm looking to do is chew up the miles, right? And I want to be able to be highly efficient and drive towards getting much greater range. So that's one of those features that once you have it, and we've got a similar setup in the Lucid, you definitely appreciate it. And I put that in the category of creature comforts that are very much nice to have. And so that is number 4 on my list. The last one in terms of nice to haves is pin to drive. This is more of a security feature, and we had this in our Tesla. I always would use it, right? We had this in every one, and it just added another layer of security, right? If somebody got a hold of your key fob or key card, they wouldn't be able to drive the vehicle. It's also a security feature in case you're being carjacked, right? And you get out of the vehicle. Well, you can't drive the vehicle unless you know the PIN number. So I would love to see more, not just EV, but automakers implement that and do it in a way that makes it usable. Rivian implemented this a few months ago, and the implementation really makes it unusable in my opinion, because what they did is they tied it into multi-factor authentication. And if you're in an area where you don't have cell phone coverage, you may never get the message or the ability to authenticate via your mobile device, right? So just give me a simple PIN code that I can use to secure access to my vehicle versus what Rivian tried to do, which it was an even more advanced level of security, but with security, you always have to balance the user experience with the level of security and the level of risk that the user may be willing to accept, right? I'm going to accept the risk versus having a really bad experience of being in an area where I can't use my mobile device to use multi-factor. So that's my list, right? We've got the top 10 EV must-haves. We've got the top 5 software and tech features. And I just gave you my creature comforts or nice-to-haves. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you like this list? What would you add to any of those categories? Listen, if you or someone you know is in the market for an EV, perhaps looking to take advantage of the federal incentives before they go away, definitely check the description of this video, share it with anyone who's looking for an EV. We have my referral code in the description of the video for Lucid, for Rivian, as well as for Tesla. Definitely take advantage of that. It will help you or the person that is looking to buy, and it will certainly help me and help the EVOG channel. So it's definitely win-win. You may also have questions about your next EV or your current EV. Use the comments section below to share any questions that you have, and I'll do my best to respond to as many, if not all, of the questions in the comments. Would love to have you guys share this video with anyone who's considering an EV, and give this video a like so that the YouTube algorithm spreads this video out to a wide audience. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the EVOG channel. As I said, I'll be linking to my friend Adam from Adam's Everything EVs list. He may just have the top 10, which is the core of what we're looking to share with you guys. And then he and I will do as we usually do and discuss this on an upcoming episode, our next episode of the EVOG podcast. But that's it for this one. Thanks for joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.